Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Antebellum. Before we begin, let me know in the comments if you were looking forward to this or what your thoughts were if you've seen it already, and make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews. It helps me out immensely if you do that. Also, if you're new here and you like movies, whether it be blockbusters, hidden gems, or everything in between, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases and some classics. But now, let's jump right into it. This psychological horror film stars Janelle Monae as Veronica, a successful author who finds herself trapped in a horrifying reality where she's a slave in a 19th century plantation. Under the name of Eden, she's now racing against time to figure out how she got there and how she can escape. This was released on VOD today, and it's written and directed by Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz in their feature debut. It's also produced by Sean McKittrick, who also produced Jordan Peele's films Get Out and Us, which is something it advertises pretty heavily. It's featured in big letters at the top of the posters, you see it mentioned in the trailers, and even the trailer itself gives off a very Get Out vibe. And I was looking forward to this. It seemed very intriguing. I only saw one trailer, it didn't seem like it gave much away, and there was a lot of mystery to it. But unfortunately for me, as much as this tried marketing itself as the next Get Out, this was nowhere near on the same level as that movie, and its execution was a mess. Though, let's start with the positives. The acting is top-notch, and is easily this film's strongest element. Janelle Monae carries this movie. She essentially has to play this dual role between her life as an author and her life trapped in this alternate reality. And I thought she handled both really well. She had a very strong presence, and she was the reason I was even remotely invested in this. Though everyone else was good here as well. Eric Lange, Jenna Malone, and Jack Houston are the main three antagonists on this plantation, and they all just had this sliminess to them that made you really want to despise them. Though the other standout performance for me was Kiersey Clemons. She's the one who mainly looks to Janelle Monae to figure out how they can escape this place, and we even see a few sequences of her by herself having to deal with these horrible soldiers on this plantation. We spend enough time with her that we're able to establish a connection with her. From a technical standpoint, it is fantastic. The direction is excellent and the cinematography is stunning. The opening sequence in particular was really well done. It's a bunch of shots, sometimes very long takes with no dialogue and this chilling music. Many of the shots in general paint these pictures filled with such vivid detail. There were scenes that were beautiful to look at, like this one shot in the trailer where Janelle Monae's walking away from this burning house, and the attention to detail in the way this is shot can't be understated. And while it paints beautiful pictures, it's also filled with a lot of horrifying imagery. The first 30 to 40 minutes consist of nothing but showing us life on this plantation, and we see a lot of brutal scenes of these soldiers brutally beating slaves, demeaning them, torturing them. It's extremely unpleasant stuff, and it'll make you feel very uncomfortable, to say the least. The film is marketed as a horror film, and it is, though it's through a more psychological lens. We're witnessing a real-life horror played out here, one of the biggest real-life horrors. The thing is, it seemed the directors were looking to make a point by showing us all this, but we never fully get what the point actually is. There seemed to be something in there, possibly about history repeating itself, or how the past still haunts us to this day, and those are great ideas as they're very relevant to this day and age, but the way in which it's presented, it comes off as too vague and very unclear. So as I mentioned, the plot is this author who finds herself on this mysterious plantation, and the way it tells the story, the first 40 minutes or so take place exclusively there. Janelle Monae just goes by Eden. There are many hints as to her life as Veronica, if any at all. There's one conversation early on between her and Kiersey Clemons where it's implied she knows who she really is, but that's it. And it's mostly just these scenes of these horrible plantation owners just brutally beating and demoralizing Janelle Monae and everyone else. And the entire time we're left wondering, what's going on with this? Where is this? How did she get here? And it's about at the 45-minute mark where we cut to her as Veronica. And it's here where the movie starts to lose me, because without spoiling anything, the majority of the second act takes place during this night out with her and her friends. And it's just this very dragged out sequence where, other than a quick moment here and there really isn't any sort of suspense, nor does it actually add much to the story. Again, the acting's fine, mainly from Janelle Monae, but it's kind of dull. It's mainly just casual conversation of her and her friends hanging out, and there really isn't any sort of character development. We don't learn much from it. It felt more like this elongated sequence to pad the runtime, until it makes its way to the third act and there's this twist. And I'll keep it spoiler free in case you want to check this out, but all I was saying to myself was, once we saw this twist, that's it. It reminded me of an M. Night Shyamalan movie because it does this big dramatic reveal, but then offers no substance beyond that. It's essentially this one moment that feels like it goes by in an instant, and we don't get any sort of motivation, explanation, or anything. It just moves on, and then we're kind of left wondering, what was the point? We're left with so many questions, but not in a good way, because we don't get this sense of satisfaction. Nor did it seem like there was much of a message. Like I said, there seemed at first like there may have been something the directors were trying to say, but in actuality, nothing was said. And it makes us ask why we sat through everything we sat through. We learned nothing new about any of these characters once we get to this twist. There was a whole lot more backstory that could have easily been explored instead of this unnecessary second act of this night out, and in hindsight, it just makes the extremely uncomfortable first act feel very exploitative in a way, because whatever message this tried to convey, it wasn't stated. There was no point it ultimately got across, and it just felt like a very hollow experience. I think there were some great ideas here. On paper, it may have come across as much more coherent, and like I said, it wasn't as clear, but it seemed like there may have been some theme about how the past and present connect, and for that, some may be able to get something out of this. But I think the way it was presented, it didn't come across the way the filmmakers intended. It's shot well, it has some solid performances, particularly from Janelle Monae and Kiersey Clemens, but between its dull second act and its third act twist that in hindsight made the first act lose any substance it may have had, this just fell totally flat for me. Antebellum gets a 4 out of 10. The more this sat with me, the more I just did not like it. I would like to see more from Gerard Bush and Christopher Wren, as I think there is definitely talent there. This just totally missed its mark. But let me know, did you see Antebellum, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you think the themes worked? Did you like the story? And what's a good horror movie you've seen lately? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.